Hey everybody, it's Anthony and Tucker with Land Title. We came to bring you your lender market update for the month. Boulder County is looking, well, pretty strong in some
It's
cases.
looking strong. Depends on what we're looking at. So for the month of July, we really saw just high level. We saw a big divergence between attached and detached product. So if you have buyers out there shopping, really what you tell them on detached and what you tell them on attached are completely different stories right now. And we'll dive into it. But really, just off the top, they're diverging quite a bit. So we're going to have a little extra, some extra slides today, kind of covering that. But first, let's go ahead and just kind of hit our quick numbers. We're now year to date, we're 10% up in solds from last year. We have slipped a little bit. We are down month over month. We're down just about 4% month over month in our solds. And 2% are solds. Actives are down, under contracts are down. Kind of that usual July slump. What we're going to see here is probably a little bit of a stronger fourth quarter, depending on what happens with rates. But we're kind of sitting good right now for where we are in the middle of the year after everyone felt like they're on vacation for July.
Absolutely. So let's dive into the inventory situation a little bit. Obviously, inventory was up, but in detached, inventory is only up 22%. Now, where it's up, that's what matters, right? Because Louisville actually has inventory right now. There's 57 units on the market. That's a 185% increase from this time last year. Erie is up 31%, Longmont up 33%, Superior's up 34%. So that's where the bulk of your inventory is coming in and entering the marketplace. What about attached?
Attached, little different. Things are not moving nearly as fast. We can see out in Superior, attached has actually quite a few units still on the market. They're not really moving too fast. Days on market's pretty high later on. But what we see is in Louisville, once again, we have 19 attached units in Louisville. We never see that.
And then we've seen 19 total units.
Yeah, 19 total in Louisville. And that was like, oh, there's more than 10. Okay.
Exactly.
But then we let's jump up to Longmont versus Boulder. Boulder, you can see, has almost 2.5 times the amount of attached inventory available right now. And a lot of that's just because of our composition of what we have here, but it's also because of the price points.
242 units. There's been plenty of times in the last few years where that was the total number of inventory on the market. So it is getting way saturated with active units, and that's creating some issues. And you'll see it later when we start looking at specifically the city of Boulder.
And this really, look at the year-to-date change, really says a lot, especially for Boulder because it's a larger number. We're up 97% year over year for the amount of active inventory we have attached
on the market.
We've doubled what we had last year on the market. So attached is not moving nearly as fast. And as we look at our month supply of inventory, and this is combined, we really want to look at our submarkets in the lower left. Totally. And you can see how that attached is really driving up the days on market, the month supply of inventory. And that's really causing Boulder, Louisville, Superior to really kind of push into those 4 or 5 month supply of inventories, which we really don't see ever here in the Front Range. And we kind of consider that buyer neutral to leaning a little bit towards, buyer.
Yeah, I think if you got buyers on the fence, this is good information to go kick them off the fence and say, hey, this isn't going to last long. Interest rates are starting to come down. You've been telling me to wait for you. If you're waiting on interest rates, go out and get it, right? Because I think this is a really good window of opportunity for them, especially if they want some of those locations that are always a little bit harder to get usually. But now that there's inventory, get after it, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you look at it by days in MLS, this should rise through the rest of the year. It very much depends on interest rates. If you look back to 2020, that was when interest rates started to fall that year. So you can see what it looks like in a year where interest rates start to drop. That's a plateau, right? But most years it should look like a horseshoe. This should be one of the lowest months, so it should start to rise. Now, somewhere in the middle is probably where we'll end up, right? So you'll probably see a little bit of a rise for the latter half of the year, but not a complete plateau. So I think that's a good sign. But 34 days in MLS just means that it's going to take about a month, 5 weeks going under contract.
And so use this when you're working with your buyer saying, hey, you can get second eyes on a property. If it's really well priced, you need to be aggressive. We still see things move fast if it's, right price, right home. But you have more time to shop. So really help those folks understand it's not like it was 3 years ago where everyone got jaded and that experience was terrible. Go see that house twice. Go get a second look before you write the contract. That's okay.
Yeah, all those buyer remorse sellers that want to get a new home and they're tired of it, right? It's a good time for them. Yeah. All right, so let's look detached and attached again. This is by price range. You can see the luxury part of the market is still doing pretty well. Lots of $3+ million sales again. We had 12, even though we still have 130 on the market. That number is coming up. It's much closer to last year. So that's optimistic. 2.5 to 3 million, minus 36% in sales. It's still a tough spot. But other than that, The sold numbers in detached look excellent across the
We're
board.
we're up double digits for every price band except for the very bottom of the market,
Mhm.
and that's because there's no inventory there. Let's be
Totally, yeah.
honest, everything got pushed up, and so we can really see how strong the single family detached is in Boulder County. And as we say often, that is the absolute gold standard of what you can buy is that single family detached in Boulder County. It really is holding its value well. And
Totally.
as we can see, they're having great sold data, even
Well,
compared
and
to last year.
lots of inventory rises there too. So the fact that there's still lots of sales taking place, the value's still sticking around, but yet there's 30 to 40% across most of those price ranges and the amount of inventory on the market. Those are all really positive signs to show the resiliency in Boulder County.
Yeah, and that's also partially why attached is hurting so much.
Yeah, so let's
Is
look at that.
let's look at the attach. And so what we're looking at here is first off, when we look at that supply side we were talking about, year over year, year to date, massive increases pretty much for every price band. So we have a
Especially the
lot more
lower end.
inventory,
Yeah.
especially on the lower end, especially that 400 to 600 range. There is a 4 to 500 range. There's a lot on the market, and we only had 22 sold. That's a 20% absorption rate. Not good.
Yeah, that
Right,
means
that's
price
really
drops.
not good.
That means like
we're going to
depreciation
see,
in many ways.
because of all the active inventory for the detached, right? If we have two houses that are similar, decent enough comparable areas,
Yeah.
right? The detached is always going to, not always, but almost always win out.
Yeah,
But where we do see a little bit of light on the attached market are those lock-in leaves. We are seeing some of those get sold. There's not a ton of inventory.
Yeah, and honestly, they're
but
holding their value nicely too.
They are holding their value nicely, and those are a lot of the newer builds in the last 5-10 years, where it's that townhouse style lock and leave, a little bit more of a luxury product.
Well, it
Those are
just goes
doing
to show
those are
your
doing
price
pretty
point
well.
is not everything, right?
Yeah.
Location is super key, and that's where you're seeing a lot of this. Condition, obviously, you guys have probably felt this, but all year it seems like condition is king. And so if you're in the best condition, you're probably the
Mhm.
first to sell. And so when you're working with buyers, they just need to understand that.
Yeah.
If they want a beautiful move-in ready home, they're just going to have to pay normal market rate for them. If they want a deal, great, go hit them all up. And this is a time to go get deals for stuff sitting on the market.
Now's the time for your house hackers to get in there, start doing their work,
Yeah.
and then 6 months later you can refinance them and do a little bit more of a stable loan.
All right, so check this out. This is a volume of inventory and the speed of the market by price point, and it's in detached. So comparing the two again, you can see under 800,000, it still feels like a buyer's market across most of the markets, right? That's what it's showing us. Very balanced from 800 to 2
You
million.
meant seller, sorry, buddy.
Sorry, seller market. 800
Seller
to 2
market
million
under there.
is definitely balanced. And then 2 million and up, where you're starting to see a lot of inventory. We've had a lot for a while. The stuff that's awesome is selling fast, though. So you can see the speed of the market is actually pretty quick. But that just goes to show you there's a lot sitting. And honestly, over the last month, we've actually finally started to see some come off the market because people are frustrated because
Yeah.
they listed early. Maybe it wasn't priced right. Now it's just kind of lingering. I don't think they're even stigmatized. There's just not a lot of buyers. And if they were like, you know what, I'm going to stick a renter in it, let's deal with it next year. And
Yep.
you're seeing that.
And we're seeing that, and it's also on this side of when we look at the attached, we can see how once again attached just isn't doing nearly as well as detached. We really saw that in the July numbers that we're looking at now. And we can see how the days on market, the overall speed is
They're about double.
That's double if not more. Now you can see there's one listing that came on the market for the 1.5 range, sold in 5 days. Right, that makes sense.
Right.
Hey, priced right product that sold. But then we look over on the left hand side and we can see how even our lowest price points are starting at 3 months of supply of inventory, and just how much of a jump that is versus the detached. And those are supposed to be our hottest areas, our fastest turnover.
So if those are balanced, then you get into like those 600 to a million where we've really seen some issues in that market. And it's
and then those price
market.
points, it's tough because you can go get a detached between the 600 and a million.
Totally.
Maybe not the location, but your product type is
right. There's a lot
quite a bit
to
of
choose
difference.
from.
There's a lot of difference.
Yeah, so I think that's the big difference right now is buyers are really preferring detached products, even over location in some cases.
And then just look at the very top end of that left-hand side. You can really see how we're sitting at 6 months for those higher price points, 5 to 6 months of supply of inventory. Mm-hmm. That's really surprising that we don't see that higher. So it just shows that it's the product type that really matters. So the high-end lock and leave still is selling and still is a good product right now. So it's not your buyers may not get the same deal as they would otherwise go into a traditional condo or townhouse in that 700 to 800 range or lower.
All right, so let's talk about average sales price. Detached single family home average sales price is very stable in Boulder County over the last 12 months. You can see most of them are up. It shows that the city of Boulder is down a little bit, but I don't think that's down. I think, as you've seen in the product type selling, it has to do more with composition of sales, but it's very stable. You've seen some stuff like Niwot, a lot of luxury stuff selling out there.
But
That's
it's also
really
hard,
inflated that number.
and it's hard because there's only a handful, so you're a little skewed on a couple of really
Totally.
nice sales.
But I
Really
think the
skew
big
us.
picture is, Louisville, 6% increase in average sales price. Longmont, 5% increase in average sales price. Superior, 4% increase in average sales price and detached. That is the gold standard in Boulder County.
Yeah,
You can tell that's what people want. They're still fighting over it a little bit. It's seen some healthy appreciation. You get into attached, and this is where it's exactly the opposite.
it's the exact opposite, and this is where you can really see how painful that is. You look out in Louisville, down 17% almost. Superior down 13%. Erie down 3%. Boulder we're down almost 2%. It just shows how it's not holding the same value because when where it's a flight to quality right now in a high interest rate market with extra supply and inventory, it's a flight to quality. What's quality? Generally your detached single family house. So
Yeah,
we're seeing a flight to that still, and we're seeing those sales prices drop. So this means that we actually might be seeing some real equity be shrinking here, which we don't like to be alarmist, but we're actually seeing the prices contract, and we're probably going to continue to see that until we get a little bit more balance in the supply versus demand area.
The one to really pay attention to if you're working with buyers on this is Superior is down $95,000 over the last 12 months in value. Now, I don't know if that's value or sales, but somewhere in the middle, that is definitely a red flag.
Yeah.
But the detached houses out there are doing great.
Yeah.
So you just got to be mindful when you're working with people that maybe this is a really good time to go get a deal in attached out there. I really don't know, but it's definitely something to at least start watching.
And it's hard to say because there's a lot of that new build, new construction out there that's builder.
Yep.
And that's all attached. So that might be dragging it down just because those are sometimes some pretty higher price points for that brand new product.
Exactly.
Go ahead, Anthony. I'll let you knock this one out. This is your favorite
All right,
slide.
so detached single family homes. I like this one because I just like to shoot this out. I think the consumer can see this really well. If you need to shoot a video, talk about just the strength of the detached real estate market and how resilient Boulder County is.
We say this every month, and we've never seen any of you guys tag us. So we recommend shoot the video and tag us, just so we can say that we can call you out next time.
We'll shoot it with you. We'd love to. But here you can see, the first 5 months of the year, you can really see the increase in sales. We came off the bottom of, maybe the least activity by buyers. The detached market's doing remarkable, right? You can see the year-to-date changes. Boulder's right about where it was, but places like Lafayette, Superior, Erie, Niwot, double-digit changes in the detached single-family home sales. If you get over into attached, this is the one where it's like, this could be a little scary, but if you've got people wanting to go in and buy, this could be a great slide to be like, hey,
this is your long-time buyers.
Long-term investor buyer might really benefit from buying into attached right now.
Or they just want location, right? If they are desperate, location's the most important. Attached might be a great place to find a deal. Really might be. It is a great place to find a deal right now, just because things are sitting so long. Just even in my neighborhood, we have three houses for sale. There's entry level essentially for Boulder City of Boulder. They're all sitting, no action. I think they're overpriced, but that's just because their units are nicer than mine, probably.
All right, so percentage list of sale price. This is the last slide we have for you today. This one comes to a little bit of explanation because we combined them because they're very similar. Our list of sale price is 98.3%. It's down 0.8% from this time last year. You can see across the board, people are getting less money at the offer. Now, what does that really mean? What it means is this does not take into account concessions. This does not take into account price drops. So homes are going for a lot less right now than they were this time last year. Apples to apples, like 1 million to 1 million, right? So all this really means is it's less competitive. There are less buyers in the marketplace right now in perspective to the listings.
Yep. And so that means when you are going under contract, there's a good chance your appraisal may come in over asking or should come in over asking, not even including the concessions.
Ask for those concessions, right? We keep looking at concessions data. It's a big chunk of homes with concessions.
Yeah. And so really keep working with your agents out there on understanding concessions are normal. Hey, we might need to move this house. Start reaching out to those agents who have those listings on the market for 2-3 weeks and go, hey, we can do a 2-1 buy down. We can do X, Y, and Z. We have these programs.
Right.
That's great proactive reach out. And that way you can help get those houses sold.
Totally.
and you'll get the deal.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for joining us
Thanks,
today.
everybody.
See you next time.
Cheers.